Welcome to a new special episode of Untold History, the space where we explore the key moments that shaped the course of humanity. Today, we delve into an event that marked the end of one era and the beginning of another, the Fall of Constantinople on May 29, 1453. This historical moment not only meant the demise of the Byzantine Empire, but also a shift in the global balance of power that still resonates today. But what were the main causes that led to the fall of Constantinople? How did the siege develop, and what role did technological advances play in this event? What were the immediate and long-term consequences of this event in world history? Join us on this journey through time to understand one of the most momentous events in world history. The Byzantine Empire, successor to the Roman Empire, resisted the onslaught of numerous invaders for centuries. By the middle of the 15th century, however, its power had declined dramatically. Constantinople, once a thriving cultural, religious, and commercial center of the medieval world, was surrounded by the growing power of the Ottoman Turks. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire, under the leadership of Mehmed II, was reaching its peak and preparing for a new phase of expansion, with the ambition of seizing Constantinople, a goal that had been in the sights of the Ottomans for generations. The siege began in April 1453, when Sultan Mehmed II, determined to take the city, surrounded Constantinople with an army of approximately 80,000 men. The city was defended by a much smaller Byzantine army, led by the last Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI Palaiologos, who, despite the difficulties, refused to surrender. Although Constantinople had imposing walls, the Ottoman army had advanced technology, such as huge siege guns, capable of destroying the walls of the city. These cannons, designed by the Hungarian engineer Urban, were one of the key elements that made the difference in this conflict. Despite the desperation, the last bastion of Byzantium resisted for weeks, but the military superiority of the Ottomans, coupled with the lack of support from the Europeans, who did not come to the aid of the Byzantines, proved fatal. The fall of Constantinople occurred on May 29, 1453, when the walls were finally penetrated and the Ottoman army stormed the city. Emperor Constantine XI died fighting in the streets, and the city was taken by the Ottomans. The population was subdued, and many of its inhabitants were converted to Islam or enslaved. One of the lesser-known aspects of the siege was the psychological strategy employed by Mehmed II. The Ottomans used intimidation tactics to undermine the morale of the defenders, including using prisoners as decoys and spreading rumors about the imminent arrival of reinforcements. The construction of a fortress at Rumeli Hisari, prior to the siege, also ensured that Constantinople was completely isolated and without hope of receiving help from the outside. In terms of technological innovations, the cannons designed by Urban represented a key advance in siege warfare, as they were capable of launching multi-ton shells, which facilitated the destruction of the Byzantine walls. Although these cannons were instrumental to the Ottoman victory, they were extremely expensive to manufacture and transport, putting a great deal of financial strain on the Ottomans and demonstrating Mehmed II's level of commitment to his goal. Cannons were also a symbol of the transition from the Middle Ages to the modern age, as was the ability of the Ottomans to adapt to new warfare technologies. The siege of Constantinople also revealed the internal divisions of the Christian world. Doctrinal differences between the Catholic and Orthodox churches, which had endured for centuries, dissuaded many European states from lending aid to the Byzantine Empire. Despite promises of religious unity made by Constantine XI, tensions between the various Christian factions prevented reinforcements from being sent from the West. After the fall of the city, Mehmed II showed a mixture of brutality and pragmatism. Although it allowed 3 days of looting, it also offered favorable conditions to those who decided to stay and collaborate with the new Ottoman regime. Istanbul, as the city came to be called, quickly transformed into a vibrant multicultural hub, attracting merchants, artisans, and scholars from various parts of the world. This new phase ushered in an era of splendor for the city and the empire. Some lesser-known details about the fall of Constantinople include the active participation of the Genoese in the defense of the city. Although the Pope had called for a crusade to help the Byzantines, the response of the Europeans was lukewarm. In contrast, The Genoese, who had commercial interests in the region, sent some reinforcements, but the help was never enough. In fact, the Byzantine fleet was outmatched by Ottoman naval superiority, which blocked the city's supply routes. Another fascinating aspect was the use of spies and undercover agents by the Ottomans. Throughout the months leading up to the siege, Mehmed II had managed to infiltrate several spies into Constantinople, who informed him about the city's weaknesses and vulnerabilities. One of the most cunning moves was the diversion of a water canal that supplied the city, leaving defenders without access to drinking water at the most critical moments of the siege. The fall of Constantinople also had a significant cultural impact. Many Byzantine scholars and artists fled to the west after the fall of the city, taking with them a large number of ancient manuscripts, many of which contained Greek and Latin texts from antiquity. This migration contributed to the revitalization of the Renaissance in Europe by providing access to classical sources that would otherwise have been lost forever. In terms of architecture, one of Mehmed II's achievements was the conversion of the Hagia Sophia, the largest Christian church in the city, into a mosque. This symbolized the change of power and the transformation of Constantinople into a center of Islam. The Hagia Sophia became the symbol of the new Ottoman era, but also a reminder of Byzantium's past greatness. The Ottomans also built a number of mosques and palaces in Istanbul, which became models for future construction in the Ottoman Empire. The fall of Constantinople had profound consequences in Europe, Asia, and Africa. For the Ottoman Empire, it was a victory that consolidated its dominance in the region, establishing Istanbul as the new capital of the empire. This event also marked the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of the modern age, as it paved the way for cultural and scientific renaissance. On the other hand, the fall of Constantinople altered the trade routes between Europe and Asia, leading Europeans to seek new routes to the east. This search for new, long-term trade routes contributed to the discovery of America in 1492. In addition, the fall of Constantinople meant the end of Christian resistance in the East, altering relations between East and West. For centuries, the Byzantines had been the last vestige of the Roman Empire, and their fall symbolized the end of Eastern Christendom. The Ottoman Empire expanded rapidly into Europe, challenging Christian hegemony on the continent and establishing Islam as one of the main religions in the region. The fall of Constantinople, while tragic for the Byzantines, was also the catalyst for major geopolitical and economic changes that would define the course of world history. This event not only marked the end of an ancient empire, but also the beginning of a new political order, in which the Ottomans would play a pivotal role for centuries, and the Western world, in its search for new trade routes, would embark on an era of global exploration and expansion. May 29, 1453 is remembered not only as the end of an era for Byzantium, but also as the moment when the map of the world was reconfigured. This event ushered in a new cycle of power, leading to the rise of the Ottoman Empire and shaping the New World Order. The fall of Constantinople was a turning point that had long-term consequences, affecting the course of international relations, the global economy, and the clash of civilizations that would continue to have repercussions for centuries. Thank you for joining us for this special episode of Untold History. If you liked this content, don't forget to subscribe, share it, and leave your comments. See you in the next episode, where we will continue to explore the events that changed the course of history. See you soon.